Hey, welcome to the Razzle Dazzle Show, a podcast where we talk about our favorite video games and all things pop culture with an emphasis on our favorites. I'm your host Jared, and our guest today is Hiraeth Records, also known as Catsystem Corp. Originally from the Netherlands, he's a prominent music producer known for his distinctive work in the vaporwave genre. In 2020, amid the COVID pandemic, he relocated to Finland, where they now reside with his girlfriend and their 2.5-year-old son. Hiraeth's music is characterized by its nostalgic and surreal soundscapes, often incorporating slowed down samples and reverb effects to invoke a dreamy, retro atmosphere. In addition to his music production, Hiraeth founded Hiraeth Records. This label was born out of a desire to use their extensive experience and network to assist other artists in releasing music on physical formats. What began as a hobby quickly expanded, leading to the establishment of the label to manage the increasing demand more professionally. Through Hiraeth Records, Hiraeth continued to contribute significantly to the vaporwave community and beyond, supporting the physical release of music and helping to nurture the talents of other artists. Please let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at Raz-Show-Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. And with all that being said,
it's Razzle Dazzle time.
Hello, Hiraeth. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you on. It's been a long time coming. You know, we're celebrating the 5th year anniversary of the show. Full circle moment. But first, I want to ask you, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Awesome. And my quick Kickstarter question I have for you is, what's the first thing you do / notice whenever you go to a mall for the first time?
I look at the plants. I love palm trees, big ferns, everything. Like a mall has to have nice plants.
Right.
Real plants, not plastic.
Right. Do you have a favorite mall that you've been to?
I would say that the Forum in Helsinki is a good one, nice one. But I've been to one in Ohio. I forgot the name. Mm-hmm. That was my first real American mall, and that was crazy.
Have you ever been to Miami at all? No.
Unfortunately, not. No.
Okay.
No.
I asked because that's where I'm from, and we have quite a few big malls there. The biggest one that I can think of off the top of my head is Dolphin Mall, and it's a giant, really nice mall that has just a lot of stuff inside. It's huge. It's it's spacious, and it's crazy. And for the majority of my life, I've lived next to Dadeland Mall, which is in the Glenver Heights area of Miami. And it's something that is just walkable. It's literally across the street from my apartment complex there. And I can't remember. I can't describe how weird it is seeing a mall go through so many changes as you're also going through a change. It's a weird thing. That's a weird sentence. It's weird, but malls over the course of the last 20 years have undergone so many different types of changes, and it's weird now to have a mall and not see it populated.
I get it. Yeah. Is it abandoned? Is it abandoned now?
No, not yet. In time, I'm sure.
Yeah, you see a lot of empty malls.
Yeah.
Stores disappear, and you used to have stuff like, Blockbuster, rental stuff, arcades, and that's just gone, I guess. And clothing stores go bankrupt, and then they're gone, and everyone orders stuff online. So,
yeah.
And then there's nothing. There's maybe a boutique store, but that's it.
Yeah, that's the real killer, right? Online shopping, because what's the point of going to a mall anymore? And I've while preparing for your episode, I've noticed, or I've come to realize how much of my life was spent in like a type of mall, like wherever I am, like back home in Miami, like where my parents, my dad is, and like Sebring, and like, you know, just in general, there's a lot of like key memories I have going to the mall with like my parents or with my friends, or, you know, a lot of first times. Like the first time I ever went trick-or-treating was in Sunset Place Mall. You know, like it's a weird, nobody talks about malls as much as they should, I think, and it's a weird thing because it's pretty influential to like a specific demographic, you know. So I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, in a certain time period, I guess, when malls were still bustling, people spent their time over there. Like that's where stuff happened.
Yeah,
that's where you went out with your friends and, I don't know, crashed the mall.
Yeah. Well, I want to start at the beginning with you. Can you tell us, where did you grow up and how would you describe the musical background of your childhood?
I grew up in the north of the Netherlands, in a small rural area, small village. My musical, I can't even play an instrument, like for real. I can't read a note. I do everything by ear. I didn't take any music classes. But music is and was an important factor in our life. I grew up listening to music all the time, and my dad had quite some nice CD collection. We would listen to music basically all the time, and I guess a lot of different music, so that's why I like also different genres of music. I grew up on Dire Straits, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up on mostly Dire Straits.
Okay.
My dad was a big fan of that. And I don't know if you heard of Golden Earring.
I have not.
It's a Dutch rock band, one of the oldest bands in the world, maybe even.
Wow.
Their music has been used in, I believe Hillary Clinton used it in her campaign. And that's why a lot of that's why a lot of Americans know only two songs. I guess it's Radar Love and another one. But they were very popular in the Netherlands, and so my dad was a big fan too. So I grew up on Golden Earring, Dire Straits, classical music, just pop songs on the radio.
Understood. Okay. Did you have any video game consoles growing up in the household?
That's a part of my life that's how do you say it, unfulfilled.
Right.
We did not have any consoles at all. My parents didn't have that amount of money that they would buy consoles for us, but we did have an Commodore Amiga 500. That was my first PC, and after that it was MS-DOS computer, Windows 98, and then I had my own with XP and all that stuff. But unfortunately, no consoles.
Okay.
I think my first console experience was at a friend's place, and he had a PS1, PS6 or PS1, yeah. We played Need for Speed, and what's that alien game? Abe? Someone who's listening now knows. What's that game? It's that alien that had like threads or wire. He had his mouth shut, or like sewn together. His lips were.
Strange World or something like that.
Could be, yeah. Abe's Escape, something like that. I don't know how we couldn't speak
Ape
English,
Escape.
so we just made up our own.
the game where you like chase around a bunch of monkeys, bunch of apes.
No. It was like maybe it wasn't alien. It was. We have to Google it later. Yeah, that's what my first experience was, and after that I grew up in the 90s, so my first internet was a dial-up modem. So it was like visiting a website would take you 5 minutes to load one page, and then your phone bill went up and up and up.
Yeah.
So, and after that we got ADSL. I think that's I don't know if that's English. ADSL, DSL. So then we had a little bit faster internet, and I would download these emulators. And I think the first thing I tried was some sort of Nintendo emulator, and it barely worked. I just could not play anything. But later on, I got my very own PS3 and PS4. PS5 is on the wish list, but I don't know, kids. So priorities have shifted a bit.
I completely understand. Do you remember the first type of game you try to play on your computer?
If we look at the Commodore game computer,
Right.
Commodore Amiga, that was a golf game. Click and point and click, and then you would shoot this little ball over the screen. I think it's like Crazy Golf. I think that's the name.
Sure.
and another game, Crazy Cars. You would just drive, and it was all pixels, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think after that, when we had MS-DOS computer, I played a lot of Golden Axe.
Mm-hmm.
The very first Prince of Persia.
Mm.
You know, that little the first rotoscoping game.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Axe, Prince of Persia, Commander Keen, I think we had on that. Duke Nukem, the first one.
Nice.
And a very, very weird game called Dark. I don't know I think, I know the commands. CD games, dark.exe, and it would just load up that game. So I think the name is Dark. Yeah, that were the first DOS games, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the first band or musician that really got your attention when you were young?
Yeah, that has to be Dire Straits.
Dire Straits.
That was no question about it. My dad listened to it all the time, and we had this very specific song, Walk of Life.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever that started playing, me and my sister were allowed to grab snacks. So every Sunday morning, we were waiting for my dad to put on that CD.
Yeah.
And when that song came on, then we were allowed to grab snacks.
I love that.
So that's now our snack song.
Do you remember the first physical music you've owned that was yours?
I think I want to give two answers. The very first one was a free CD that we got with some sort of animal magazine, and it was about Animal Day.
Okay.
It had some very weird songs on it, but it was like a kid's songs. And I remember I liked one song so much, I would just repeat it over and over and over until my sister got crazy of me listening to that song. I think she then took the CD and hid it somewhere. I don't know where it is. But the first actual real CD that I bought with my own money was Avril Lavigne, Let Go.
Avril Lavigne, Let Go?
Yeah, the first album, yeah.
Wow. Cool. So this next question requires a bit of context. I'm part of this other show called 3 Song Stories. I work at WGCU, NPR PBS radio station in Southwest Florida. So, and I work on this other show called 3 Song Stories, where we tell people's biography through music. And the guest comes on the show. They pick 3 songs that every time they listen to these songs, immediately transports them back to a time and place that they have a significant memory associated and a story associated with it. I want to ask you, off the top of your head, if you have one song story.
Yeah, I do. Let me think. Now I have already 3 songs in my head for even one answer.
We can get you on 3 songs eventually. Don't worry about it.
Let's see. What would be the best one to give? Oh, this is so difficult. I want to give like 5 songs already.
I know it's a really hard one.
Does it? It has to be about my youth, right? Where it transported back.
Anywhere, anytime. Like
anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
Okay.
That you have a story with.
Oh my gosh, now you're making it even more difficult.
You're not the only person that like has trouble with this, because as you start thinking, you start like racking up, oh, this can be one, this can be one, this can be one, and just like trying to pick one that's hard.
I'm going with one that's it's a Dutch song called België by the band Het Goede Doel, and that's a very old Dutch song, and I remember that I listened to it as a kid. So every time I hear it now, I'm like transported back into the 90s. And it has this section in the song where it almost sounds like a football song. So for years, I thought that it was a football song cheering for Belgium. And then at some point I was like, why are they cheering for Belgium when it's a a Dutch band. Like, what? And then I finally started listening to the lyrics, and it's about a guy who he wants to leave the Netherlands. He doesn't want to live there anymore, but he doesn't want to go to Lapland because it's too cold. He doesn't want to go to leave Russia because that's also not his place, and he doesn't want to go to China. He finds it a bit scary. He doesn't want to go to a warm country because it's way too hot for him. And then finally he realizes, wait a minute, I should just go to Belgium because people are always smiling over there. It's a perfect country. And it's kind of funny because I always knew that I would probably not live in the Netherlands for my entire life, that I wanted to live in another country. For years I thought maybe Sweden, but I ended up in Finland after all. So yeah, kind of like the guy in the song, I also moved to a different country. But Lapland is not too cold for me, I have to say that.
And how does that song fit into your life today?
I listen to it now too. It has a nostalgic vibe to it.
Yeah.
And when I'm driving in the car with my son in the back, I sometimes put on this playlist of old Dutch songs so he can also kind of experience the songs that I listened to back in the day, like these good old Dutch songs.
Well, let's get on to your career in music, your career starting up Catsystem Corp and Hiraeth Records. So, can you tell us about the origins of Catsystem Corp and how did you come up with the name and the concept?
I first encountered vaporwave, I think early 2013, when I was making some noise music, dark ambient stuff. And I wanted to release it on some other format than cassette. I thought about, well, maybe video cassette, like videotapes. But I was like, nah, that's too difficult and I don't have any video. So then I thought, what if I release it on floppy disk? I saw there was a weird, obscure label releasing noise music on floppy. I was like, I want to do that too. So I went to Google, typed in music released on floppy. And then I found Miami Vice. Not from this TV series, but a vaporwave artist called Miami Vice. And they had done an album on floppy disk. And I listened to it and I was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for my entire life. What is this sound? What is this music? And for months or weeks, maybe not months, I listened to vaporwave music and I was like, I need to make this too. I need to know how they do this. I want to make this kind of music. And then I found out that it was mostly sampled stuff, like from back in the day when they created hip-hop music, flipping samples, adding stuff to it, cutting, looping. But then I was like, how do I name myself? And as you maybe know, I'm a huge cat person, and I had 3 cats at the time. So I was like, oh, you know what? Cats rule the world, so we're just a Catsystem Corporation. But the word system was not originally part of it. At first it was just Cat Corp, but it was like, it has to mean something else. It needs something. And I started playing in Google Translate, with translating back and forth between English, Japanese, or Japanese, English, so that the translation would be totally something different than what I originally typed in. Kind of like a play on those bad translated t-shirts or tattoos that people get. Like, say, yeah, man, my tattoo says luck and courage in Chinese. And then someone who knows Chinese reads that and it says, no, it says literally chicken with rice. kind of those things. It was like, I want to have deliberately wrong language in there, wrong spelling. And then I found that smiley. It kind of looked like a smiley.
It does.
Yeah, so I was playing with that and added some words, and then it got butchered, and then even Google Translate didn't know what to do with it anymore. And at some point it said in capitals, system. I was like, okay, that's it, system. It was like Catsystem Corp. I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then I sometimes even, if people ask me like, hey, how did you come up with that name? And I kind of felt embarrassed to say, well, it's just named after my 3 cats. I would just say something like, oh, it's a consumer and telecom system corporation.
Making up an acronym
nothing
for
to do
cat?
with cats.
I love that so much. And so what made you decide? So, of course, Catsystem Corp is not necessarily a corporation. I guess it is now because you have your own record company, but like at the time, it was just a name, right? So concept-wise, this is just like your stage name.
Yeah, because in the early days, maybe still in vaporwave, you would see these fake businesses making albums, or like just I don't know, just grab something like I don't know, fake brands, fake store names, and they would translate it to Japanese or use English and Japanese, and that would be an artist name, Betasoft.
Betasoft?
And then it says something in Japanese that I cannot read. Corporate meditation, cyber reality, and then digital island fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one, Donovan Hikaru. It's like a Japanese American name, like a businessman. He kind of role plays that he's a businessman. Eco Virtual, kind of like those vaporware names.
Right.
Hong Kong Express, Internet Club, Luxury Elite. It's like brands.
Mm-hmm.
Like fake brands, fake names. Yeah, so I also wanted to use that because in the beginning everyone was anonymous and you would not know who was behind the project.
Right.
And one person could literally be like 20 different projects. Like, and at the end we noticed that Hong Kong Express was indeed 20 different projects.
Crazy. So can you walk us through your creative process when working on a new track or album?
Like back in the day, I would come up with like themes from either television or stuff that I saw, or video games, or anything, or even my car. I have one dedicated to the Audi that I had back in the day, and I don't know. I would just and then browse YouTube, like crate digging, but online, or I would find these obscure pages with obscure Japanese music, and just go through it, find samples, find loops. Usually I know in the first 10 seconds if I was going to use it or not, because a lot of early vaporwave was just looped intro music, or the first 5 seconds looped and looped and looped. Maybe add the bridge or something and then looped and further processed. Yeah, crate digging for hours online, and then just start working, cutting, pasting, looping, until at some point I was working on an album and it was kind of like in the style of Malsoft. But I wanted to do something special with it. So I just grabbed the most big sounding reverb, slapped that on it, and I was like, oh, now it sounds like we're in a mall. So I added these mall sounds in the background, and that's how Pall Mall came to life. And then I noticed that I like to place the listener in some space or time that I came up with. Pall Mall later turned also into Pall Mall Mars, kind of like a futuristic version of it. And I wanted the listener to be in that mall. So lots of sound effects, very tinkering on the reverb, like it has to sound exactly like this. Television playing a commercial right around the corner, and that's how the reverb needs to sound. So yeah, then I started to focus way more on like concept albums, like being in a certain place or certain time. And I think that's what I like most on the Cat Corp side.
Before even getting into music, you were already experimenting with drone and noise production stuff, right? And then just so I'm making sure I'm tracking this right, then you've heard this vaporwave song, and then you're like, hold on a second, I think I can do this, right? Or more or less?
Yeah. For a long time, I even thought like, nah, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
Nah. And then I remember that I made my first quote unquote album. It was so bad. I think it's out there somewhere, but not on my page. And I remember I was talking to some band from California, and they said, "Oh, you got to put it on Bandcamp. It's this new platform, and you can upload music there." And I was like, "Okay, let me try." Of course, I knew Bandcamp already because that's how I found also vaporwave, but I didn't really like do anything with it. So then I was like, "Okay, I'll just upload it there." And then I got my first download. Then I got my first sale. I was like, "Oh, I made $1." And then I thought like, I like this. I like doing this. And I listened to tons and tons of vaporwave then. So I couldn't even listen to normal music anymore. I listened also to a lot of like black metal or anything basically. And I just could not listen to anything that was fast-paced music. It needed to be so slow for me. So then I made a second album, made a third, put them on Bandcamp, and I guess then it kind of started rolling. I went into these Facebook groups. You were suddenly talking to artists. Yeah, and then I think someone reached out to me, like, shall we do a collab album? Yeah, sure. And back in the day, you had this label, Fortune 500, which was run by Luxury Elite. And if you were on that label, you basically made it, because that was the place to find the best vaporwave music. And then that collab album was released on that label. That was a big moment. After that, it skyrocketed.
Right.
Like, so many people started to discover Catsystem Corp, and well, then I just thought like, you know what, I just have to continue making this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I made something more soft, and I made something like this, like that. Kind of like diverging into the subgenres of vaporwave.
Yeah, you originated the mall soft genre, and that's huge.
Yeah. I must give the credit to Disconscious, who made the very first Malsoft. But I think I'm allowed to say that I picked up that genre and then
ran with it.
Yeah, ran with it, and made people more interested in it. Because I don't know. I think people would have discovered it, but I like to think that I was important in some sort of way.
For sure, yeah. That's no small feat. You're not stretching it too far, you know. So vaporwave, man, like I love vaporwave, synthwave, all this type of stuff, mainly because one reason is, retro video games, from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that has that same type of feel, it's the same type of vibe, like I previous guest on the show, Megan McDuffie, who is also a singer, songwriter, music composer for her own music and video games, that's also the type of music that she makes and that she creates. So like vaporware, synth and stuff like that, it's like very retro. One of the best examples for her music is the game River City Girls, and it's like a retro beat 'em up type of game, right? So not only for my love of video games do I like the concept and idea of vaporwave, lo-fi, all this type of stuff. I'm also a watcher of the YouTube channel Super Beard Bros, and during the pandemic, here's a little story time explaining how I found you. During the pandemic, I was watching one of the hosts of that YouTube channel's Twitch streams. His name is Alex Fasciani, and before the stream started, he was like, there's that waiting page, getting ready to start or whatever, and the type of music he was playing was Catsystem Corp, was your music, and he had like a little scrolling text saying that this is your music, you can find them on Bandcamp and all that type of stuff, and the more I kept tuning into his streams, the more I was listening to your music, because that was the vibe for him, that's his vibe, retro, I don't even know how to describe it. He's from California, he's how do I think the type of music that you hear when it comes to vaporwave synth stuff perfectly describes Alex Fasciani to a T, and I mean that in the best way possible,
I fully get that.
Yeah.
I fully get that.
So, and
yeah.
His whole thing is, good vibes only, man. We're here to have a good time. We're here to have fun. Let's just chill out and be happy and stuff like that. And this was the early times of this show 5 years ago, because we started in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit, and we were still trying to record from home, and we managed, like, they're very, very rough episodes. Like our first 30 episodes, rough, because a good portion of them was like from my closet in the pandemic, and I didn't have like the equipment I have now, so watching his live streams, not only did he influence me like creatively as a producer, as a host, as but like also personally, like as a person, like I've learned a lot of lessons from him, like over the 10 years of watching his YouTube channel, and also just like one-on-one air quotes with him on Twitch. He really helped me like put together this concept of what I want this show right here to be, and also who I want to be as a person. So that translating to also what kind of vibe I want to set off with this show. And like already our logo has like this neon sign and stuff like that. It's very, it's supposed to be very chill, very relaxed. So I'm like, I love this music. I love this Catsystem Corp. I love what they do. So I then, a few months after that summer, I emailed you asking if we can have permission to use your music for for the show, and you said yes. And I'm like, yes, this is so this is only going to help us get better, and I feel like it has. And your music has been a part of the show ever since. So like for the past 3 years, wow, you have been an integral part of the show's identity, and really like with me, because I listen to your music almost constantly now. My favorite album is of course Hiraeth, and I just love everything that you do. I love the vibes. That's what I'm here for. That's what I hope my audience is here for. Just the vibes, and for the good times, the good conversations, the good chats and stuff like that. And this was still while I was getting my degree in college, and I would have your music on all the time when doing my homework, doing whatever work I was doing. So I just want to take this opportunity and say, thank you for doing what you do, because you bring the good vibes all around, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm honored. I'm just smiling from ear to ear hearing this story. I mean, that's I think that's the most important thing to me. These kind of stories. That's what I do it for. Like hearing what you do with the music, that you like it, how you experience it. That's the thing that matters most to me. Mm-hmm. Like hearing people's experiences.
Yeah. I also want to say real quick, I had Alex Faciani on the show not too long ago, actually, which is a big deal for me because he's a big influencer in my life. And I told him I was going to have you on the show, and he wanted me to he wanted me to tell you that, like, he loves your work. He loves everything you do. And like, he's here for the vibes too, man. That's not verbatim. I know he said other things, but like, when his episode comes out, I'll send that to you, and then it's in there. But that's the gist. Yeah, man.
Have I met him? Side question. Have I met him?
I don't know.
Has he? Does he live in LA?
Yes, he does.
He might have gone to Electronicon.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The festival. Yeah, I mean, maybe he was there. Well, no one came to me and said like, "Hey man, I have this Twitch stream and I use your music," and no one has said that. So maybe he couldn't make it, or maybe he didn't know. But
if you guys have met, then like, what a small world, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big chance.
Yeah,
we would have. Yeah.
Well, to move on, so of course, singing your praises because they are well deserved in the vaporwave community. It has a very distinct aesthetic, a community around it, and a lot of different artists goes about doing their work in many different ways on what samples to choose, and like, how do you find good samples? You talked about it a bit earlier, not too long ago, about like, the first 5 seconds, if you like it, use it or not. Could you dive in a little bit deeper on how or what do you specifically look for in a good sample? I
had this unofficial rule that I wouldn't use anything that had a guitar in it, or that had like that sounds maybe very weird, but like a prominent guitar. You know, like rock music,
Right.
guitar is very important. For some reason, it was difficult to loop, or it sounded weird, or I don't know. It had this R&B jazz fusion kind of sound. That's what it needs to have, like a good beat, loopable, obviously. If it had trumpets, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Saxophone, even better. Those things are my favorite. They sound so darn good when you slow it down, because that's an important factor of the sample. It needs to sound good when you slow it down. You know, like taking a 7-inch single. Don't play it at 45 RPM, but on 33. You know that? Yeah, it's kind of like you know when it's good or when it isn't. It's you know it within the first couple seconds. You hear it like, oh no,
yeah,
or like yes, that's the thing. And I also have this. It needs to fit the theme. Like from Mallsoft, I don't want anything that sounds R&B. I need to have something that sounds jazzy, corporate, plastic, like soulless Weather Channel music. And that might sound like an insult to Weather Channel music, but it isn't. But I don't. It must sound corporate, you know, like stock music, like infomercial music. That's how it needs to sound. And then we just breathe the soul into it.
I really like, I really like how you said that, because, stock music. That's a great way to put it, because you can use it anywhere, for anything. Actually, I've been sneaking in here at my radio station, whenever we have a live show, and I'm running the board. Usually, I am. For the outro music, I use some of your music, some of your songs for that, specifically also from like News at 11, because I'm like, it makes sense, so yeah,
absolutely, yeah. I sometimes describe the music as living inside an American Dream commercial.
Yeah,
that's how it needs to sound.
Yeah.
Like glorifying the pre 9/11 times, that those kind of vibes, those kind of themes, that kind of sound.
Right.
That's what it needs to be.
Yeah. How do you see your work fitting into the broader vaporwave scene? Because I feel like you have been, at the forefront of developing what this type of music is nowadays,
I am a very modest person, so I will not. But if I look at it from a distance, I think I can tell that I'm from the second wave. First, we spoke always about waves. Like the first wave, Macintosh Plus, Blank Banshee was already doing stuff. Luxury Elite was running for a while. Quickly then followed second wave. That was like 2013, 2014. I was becoming big in that moment, that time. Third wave came, fourth wave, etc., etc. But yeah, those first couple waves that you could see that a lot of stuff that I did was really popular. I remember the days when I would release something, and my first cassette release was 10 cassette tapes, and those were sold out in like a weekend.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, wow, cool. And then I bought a couple more. I had like 15 or 20 tapes, sold out in a weekend. I was like, okay. Should I do 50? Yeah, why not? Let's do 50 tapes. And those sold out in a week. And then I noticed that, and that's a funny thing to tell actually. When I was first starting out, I had this album. It was called Special Edition, and I reached out to Beer on the Rug, who also released Macintosh Plus in the beginning, and I said, hey, I don't have the equipment to record this to tape. I don't know how. Do you want to release stuff on tape? And I said, no, we don't do vaporwave anymore. I was like, okay, I get it, okay. And there weren't any other labels doing anything on tape, and I thought, you know what, I'll just have to do it myself. So I went downstairs to my dad's hi-fi system. I said, hey, Dad, I'm taking your tape deck now. You don't play any tapes, so it's mine now. He was like, what are you gonna do with that? And then I just grabbed my laptop, some cables, and I used some of my old cassette tapes and managed to find out how to record from laptop to tape deck. I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. Then I knew to find out like how on earth do I get the artwork? Because printing companies, like you would have to have large quantities.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, that's gonna cost me a lot of money. I was a student back then, or I was unemployed, I think even. Yeah, I was doing volunteers work at the time, just fresh out of college. And so I needed to be a bit wise with how I spent my money. And then I noticed that, wait a minute, if I take a photo, like an actual photo, I fold it inside a cassette case, it fits exactly. It's like, wow, wait a minute, now I can make the template. So I messed around with the dimensions, and I would print them from my printer and then fold and see if it fits and if it was the correct dimensions. And I managed to get that right. So I went to the local grocery store that had like a photo printer, and I would print 20 of the same J cards on photo paper, and then went back home, cut them and glued them with double-sided photo stickers, and then I would there was this place. So then I went to this place. There people worked that were mentally challenged, I think is the way to say it. And I would ask them like, hey, can you print this for me? Because I found label sheets or cassette labels, and printed those out and took them home, put them on the cassettes. Printing was very cheap. I think it was like 5 cents per page. So I manufactured some cassettes in my own bedroom and sold those online, which became got slightly out of hand.
Yeah.
At one point, I was home dubbing 300 cassettes.
Wow.
I had the belts break down from the cassette deck.
Wow.
It was like, whoa, shit. And I even bought a second deck so I could record 2 tapes at the same time.
Yeah.
And one of them sounded a bit different than the other. So one person would get a crisp, clear cassette dub, and the other one would get one that was a bit more, like almost like a semitone pitched down. It was like something was wrong with the speed of the belt. And then I thought, you know what, this I can't do this at home anymore. 300 tapes. I need to go legit. I need to start a label. I need to ask other people to produce this.
Yeah.
So that's when the first steps were taken towards a label. And I also wanted to do label stuff because I got requests from people saying like, hey man, you do tapes for yourself. How do I do that? How does it work? Can you do it for me? Can you release my album on cassette? I was like, yeah, but I'm not a label. I had to say that. I'm not a label. I was like, maybe I should be a label. And it was also at a time that I was not feeling very happy with the work I did. Like I did volunteer work in renewable energy. I worked a lot with communities starting their own solar roof, so to say. And it was very good work, but it didn't pay. Yeah, it paid in experience, but experience doesn't
pay
get
the
bread
bills
on the table. So and the pay was very low at some point. So I was like, I need to do something else with my life. So then I decided to start a label, and well, here we are.
Yeah, you went from recording cassettes in your bedroom to starting your own vaporwave record label with multiple artists. Like, can I ask like how many artists are a part of the label?
Yeah, I think we recently released number 20 officially.
Wow.
So that's like, I would say 17 different artists.
That's incredible.
And I want to call myself like a label, but more like a label. Like no one is signed
like
on
a brand.
paper. Sorry?
Like a brand label.
Yeah, I don't want to sign people and say like, oh, you're gonna make 3 albums for me. There's a budget. And,
you're not.
You don't own the rights, and the rights are all mine. And you get the scraps, and I take the big money. And I don't want to be an old style. I want to continue that community feeling that we had back in the day. Like, okay, you want stuff out in physical? Let's do it. what do you want the artwork to look like? Do you have any artists that you know that you want on this thing, like graphic artists or mastering engineers? I always ask the artist first, like, what do you want? I can also recommend these persons, these, and these, because over the years I've built quite a network of people that I know, graphic artists, mastering engineers, companies that manufacture these tapes or vinyl records. So I want to use my experience and expertise to help other people. And with every business, you also know that how do you say this? You can't be the nice guy for all the time.
Of course.
You can't do it for free all the time. You have to sometimes think like an actual business, which makes sense, obviously, because you are a business. You have to think like a business, but you don't want to. You kind of want to be like that punk, that guy who starts it out and it's not for the profit, it's for the music.
Right.
But if you think too much like that, you will encounter some problems. And in the end, is a business. So I'm balancing between being an internet punk and being a legit business.
What a thing to balance. No, I understand what you mean. Like, there's a certain line with with any creator, I think, that you can do what you do for fun. And that's great. That's how you should start. Like, this show is just for fun. Like, I'm not getting paid for doing this. I'm not paying anybody else. Me and my co-hosts are just taking the time whenever we're free to record episodes and talk about our favorite video games and whatever. And of course, you and I and my other guests takes the time to just, talk, not only learn about each other, but like learn about what we like, and also hopefully other people tune in to also learn as well, and just talk about all this cool stuff that we like and that we do. There's no like secret plan of like, we're gonna build this up and then become the next Joe Rogan podcast and like make money off of it. I mean, would it be nice? Sure, but that's not the goal. And I think I've had this conversation with other creators before, that if you start off making a thing because you're trying to make profit off of it, it's not gonna work well, and you're gonna end up potentially not liking what you do at a certain point. But you've like we said, like you mentioned, you started just making this music and you wanted to share it, and you were making money off of it, but you weren't trying to be like, from what I can tell, you're not starting off as like, I'm gonna be like the next big thing. You're not gonna be the next best thing since sliced bread or whatever. You're just making the music, and whoever wants or likes it, you're happy to share this music with. And now, running your own record label or record company, I guess. It's not a label, it's a record company. There's a big balance you got to find there, with like still being true to yourself and to these other artists that you're partnering with, to not only provide for yourselves, but also to still keep that authenticity and still being true to yourselves. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You nailed it. What you said, that is 100% the truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And looking through the website, and it's not just cassettes anymore. Like, you guys are selling vinyls, like records and stuff, and I think it's incredible. All this, and like, of course, other merch, and it looks amazing. And I'm sure you're super proud of how far it's come.
Thank you. Yeah. And still building.
Yeah.
Like, the bigger you get, the more problems, challenges,
of course,
you have to face. Like the good old YouTube algorithms, the Spotify algorithms, YouTube Shorts, all the things, SEO.
Yeah.
Web shops. A part of me doesn't like that at all.
Right, like, but getting muddled.
Another part of me wants to do it. Like, that's the challenge. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. What do you see in the future for not only Catsystem Corp, but also Hiraeth Records? Where do you want to go, and where do you see these things going?
Of course, like anyone who starts a business wants it to be like profitable, well-known, popular, good quality, good customer service, all those things. Popular on YouTube, popular everywhere. Of course, I want also all these things, but I want them also from my artists. I want them to be heard. I want their music to be there on vinyl or cassette, and of course, I want to play a record label, to say it like that. I want to role play the record label, but there's like these mini challenges you face every couple months, like goals you set for yourself. Like last year, an example, I wanted to improve our YouTube game, so I started to say like, how do people do that? How do you get popular on there? How do tags work? How many times should I upload a video? Oh, now I have to make the videos. What kind of videos am I going to make? Etc., etc. And I think those kind of mini challenges are fun to do, but also tedious.
Right.
And in the future, of course, I reached one goal. I am now an official YouTube partner. Yes, I made it. Like I am allowed to have super chats.
Right.
But I am not going to play that typical game of, yo, welcome to my channel, donate, like, subscribe, and give me your money, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's nice if we have a live stream, people can donate. Sure, perfect. But I'm not going to go down that road of becoming a YouTuber or something. Like I don't want to. It doesn't fit the label. It doesn't fit me. But it is good to know that, thank you, YouTube. You have now acknowledged me as someone who has, was it 3,000 viewing hours and 500 subscribers? I guess that's what you needed. Like, yes, made it. I'm now 5 subscribers away from reaching 1,000 subscribers.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's and I know that with the last year, I can see that how I played the YouTube game was working. Like, yes, we did it. And now I also want, of course, the Spotify to become more popular. And,
of course.
But I don't want to do those things. Some people do like promo lists. Some people use even bots. I want to play it fair.
Right.
I want to do it with my own bare hands, so to say. I don't want to cheat.
Of
I
course.
Don't want to. Yeah, so it had that's one thing I want to be more popular. The Spotify channel. Of course, I want to release music almost every month, but well, as you know, we've had a pandemic a couple years ago. If ever you wanted to release a vinyl record back then, you had to wait almost a year because they could not get the granulate for the records. And during the pandemic, people would suddenly start making music again. Like, oh yeah, I have to work from home. I'm just going to make an album. Nothing else to do. So much music was made. Everyone wanted it on vinyl. So the waiting lists grew. Like, you had to wait almost a year. And it took also a year for them to finally work all those records, like work them away. Is that the English way to say it? How do you say that in English? Like getting rid of the waiting list.
Oh, to whittle it away?
I guess.
To like get through it, just like, work through it. Yeah,
like release all those.
Right.
Press all those records they were told to do so. Yeah, so what I'm getting at is that now that things have become normal again, I also want to find people to work with more on a more consistent basis to release music more often. But the thing is, I don't really like pre-orders. I don't like it that someone pays me money in January.
Yeah.
And they are not getting their record until July or August.
Right.
Like, I don't like to do that. I get it from a business perspective. Like, sure, you pre-order it, you produce the product, then you ship it to the customer. Yay, happy times. But if I want to have a record, I'm buying it now. I want it delivered next week.
Yeah.
That's how people think. So a lot of stuff that I released back in the day, I just paid out of my own pocket. And now also, if I'm doing a release, I just have to find a good number of, like, let's do 200 records, 100 tapes and 100 CDs, something like that. And then I make it, and then it gets released. And if you order it, you will have it within 2 weeks delivered to your door.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to do. But now I want to do it more on a consistent basis, because last year I don't think we released anything because of that whole pandemic stuff. Because it took so long and nobody bought music. That's another thing that no one really mentioned. No one bought music anymore.
Right, the decline of physical media.
Yeah, and people lost their jobs. People suddenly realized with inflation and everything, like, oh, stuff is expensive. You know what? I'm just going to skip on this. And some record stores have now seen that people like vinyl again. So they're like, oh, you know what? I'm not charging $20. I'm charging $30, $40 for this record. Yeah, man, you want to get Led Zeppelin on vinyl?
Good luck.
$40. Yeah. So everyone raising the prices, then it's no fun to buy a record anymore. And I hate raising prices, because back in my day, you would spend 20 euros on a record and that was it. But now I have to charge 30 because everything is so expensive.
Yeah.
And I have to pay for this and I have to pay for that. So again, balancing between being the internet punk and being the business.
Yeah. And just trying to stay true to yourself.
Yeah, so I want to reach this point where I can release music almost every month, every 2 months.
Yeah.
For an affordable price. You can stream it on Spotify, you can buy it on Bandcamp, and no, not overcharging people, no weird pre-orders and everything. So that's one of my goals that I want to work towards.
Understood.
And one other thing that it's kind of funny how that came to existence is we do now EU distro. I'm not sure if you've seen that, where we import tapes from America and sell them in Europe. Because before, what was it, 2021, 22, something like that, the EU changed some regulations on importing goods from outside the EU. First there was this threshold. I forgot the actual number, but it was like, let's say 100 euros. Anything above 100 euros, you had to pay import fees and taxes. And if it was below 100 euros, you didn't pay anything. And shipping was much, much cheaper. So I would buy tons and tons of music from America and never had to pay for it because it was so cheap. Shipping was cheap, but times have changed drastically. The EU changed the regulations. So now you have to pay import fees on everything.
Wow.
And shipping is twice as expensive, if not tripled. So it's no fun to buy something from America anymore. Back in the day, I would order something and I didn't care where it came from because it was just reasonably priced. Now I have to look like, oh, where's this shipped from? Okay, America. That's already, $15 shipping. 20 or something for some even. Okay, I have to pay import fees, I have to pay service fee, administration stuff, all those. Like, it's no fun. And I know that some people, well, they just don't buy music anymore from outside Europe.
Right.
Then I thought, hey, why am I not doing the stuff that those metal labels used to do back in the day? Like import stuff and then sell it here. It's kind of funny to say, I look a lot at metal labels on how they run their stuff, and then I translate that to vaporwave music.
Like two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so then I started working with 100% electronica, like, hey man, can I import some of your records and sell them here? Yeah, sure. Then there were some other labels, and at some point, because I have a warehouse in the US and I have a warehouse in EU, I can also do it the other way around. So now we import a lot of tapes and vinyl from labels in America or artists. I think we're working now with 4 or 5 different labels. And that's just suddenly exploded last year. Like I was working with No Problema tapes, and I also Celadon Plaza, Turn on Dead, Geometric Lullaby, all those big names from America, and now I import them in the EU, and that's a goal I did not have, but I noticed that hey, wait a minute, there was this opportunity, and I seized it, and that's becoming quite big now. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, man, and as you should be. You've done an amazing job, like creating what you did, and like I think for the people who like and listen to your music, I think you've changed their world for the better. One last question before we get to the speed round. What message or feeling do you hope listeners take away from your music?
I hope that when you listen to my music, that you can step out of reality for a bit and live some moments in this world that I created for you.
Yeah.
Because in the end, that's what it's all about.
I love it. Yeah, visit that empty mall, that echoey mall. Do whatever you gotta do. No, I get it. Well, it is now time to enter the speed round, where I'm gonna ask you a bunch of silly random questions, and we're gonna see how you do. You ready?
Yo.
Okay. If you were the final boss in a video game, what would your title be?
That's an easy one. I would be a corporation called Cat Corporation. I'm the evil corporation. You have to battle.
And what would your boss theme music be? And you can choose any song from anywhere.
Oh my gosh. Any song from anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't know a title this immediately, but I guess some of the Cat Corp music. It sounds a bit like battle music. Wait. Elevator music. Yes. Like elevator music, but pitched in such an annoying way that it becomes horrible to listen to. With
That's so good.
With cats screeching and meowing. Yep, that's it. Like someone who's listening and knows how to make some elevator music, do it. Make this.
Hell yeah. If you were a superhero, what would your name be?
Catman, obviously.
Catman! And what would your powers be?
Well, I can purr. I can. If I fall from a high place, I always land on my feet.
Oh man!
No, I want to be able to fly or something. That's cool.
A cat that can
mind reading capabilities. I like teleportation, like Goku. Like instant teleportation, and I'm gone.
If you can live in the world of your favorite childhood show, movie, or video game, which one would it be and why?
If it has to be specifically childhood, I want to live in Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. I want to be a guest in a theme park.
I haven't thought about that in a while.
If I make myself a little bit older, I want to live in the Last of Us.
Understood. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I want to live in the zombie apocalypse world. It has some, I don't know, you can call it a guilty pleasure or something. I don't know. Something draws me to a post-apocalyptic world. I don't know why. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. If your current favorite show or movie were to be adapted into a musical, what genre of music would you envision for it?
So recently, one of my favorite shows have been Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor, made by Mike Flanagan. And I guess I'm going to give a very standard answer, like it has to be some sort of spooky, classical, baroque music, like classical music.
Okay.
Or, wait, doom metal. That's what it's going to be. Like My Dying Bride. Yes, that's what it's going to be. That's perfect. That's it.
Okay. Which character from your childhood favorite show or movie would you most like to have as a friend in real life?
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be Gohan, I guess.
Gohan?
Yeah, from Dragon Ball Z. Yep.
Okay.
Or Trunks or Gohan. Yeah.
Understood. If you could attend any fictional event, for example, the Ewok celebration in Star Wars Episode 6, which one would it be and why?
It's kind of funny you mentioned the Ewoks, because I had that movie on VHS, only partially recorded, and I would watch it over and over and over. So I watched the Ewoks celebrate many, many times. So probably I'd like to see it in real life.
Good answer. That's a great choice. If you could have a cameo appearance in any movie or TV show, Which one would it be, and what role would you play?
That would be, I think, something like Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
Like those high school TV shows.
Yeah.
I'd probably be this weird, nerdy kid in the back of the class or something, and then ends up with the most popular girl, you know.
I love that so much. Yeah, man.
Or is he getting picked on, and then he decides to make this software company, and then gets very rich, and everyone's like, "Oh no, how do you do it?" I'm like, "Haha." I like those typical tropes.
Right. Yeah. I love it. If you had to guess, what would you say is the song you listen to the most times in your life?
The answer is in your question. It's going to be Time by Pink Floyd.
Nice. Awesome. What activities or pursuits most make you lose track of time?
Currently playing Valheim.
Yeah?
I love that game. It's amazing. Have you played it?
No, I have not.
Oh, be careful if you do. It's his Viking game. You know what it is? You know?
I don't think so.
You play as a Viking. You end up in one of those worlds. Oh.
It's a survival game.
Yes, you have to prove yourself to Odin.
Oh.
You have to defeat bosses and everything. But you can build structures, houses, and everything.
Right.
And I love building those structures. I kind of cheat because I use developer tools, so I can build everything. And I just love going to YouTube and see these people building like a farmhouse or a lighthouse, and I just like, you know what, I just want to build that. And then I kind of use my own things with it, like, okay, I want to change this, I want to change that, or I take 2 videos and make one structure out of 2.
Mm-hmm.
I just love doing that. And oh gee, what do you know, it's 2 a.m. Oops.
Okay, yeah, it looks cool. It is currently 50% off on Steam as of recording, so
Yeah, it's a great game. I remember, maybe funny side story. When I first heard about it, I was like, nah, this sucks. It doesn't look. It's not for me. Until a friend of mine says like, hey, do you guys want to play Valheim? It's like, really? It's like, okay, I'll try it. Okay, I was sold in the first 5 minutes. I was like, okay, what? Never judge this book by its cover, that's for sure. I loved it so much. I still play it. Like, I have over 300, 400 hours in the game.
Hell yeah. That's great, man. Yeah, I really love it when you see a game and you think you're not going to like it, but then you fall in love with it, and that's like your everything. Yeah, man. I love that. What would your 14-year-old self think of who you are today?
You did it. You're there. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always would think like, how will my life be when I am 30? Like, will I have a house or something? Like, I was kind of like scared of the future, but now I know that, don't worry, it'll all be fine. You have a girlfriend, you have a kid, it's all good.
I love that so much. That's so great. Well, it is now time for you to recommend 3 people that when your episode comes out, you'll share this episode with, that you think they'll be a good guest on the show, and that you're going to help me get them on the show.
Yeah, I can recommend 3 people for you. The first one is kind of like a colleague of yours. His name is Pat Chennington. He has the Pat Chennington channel on YouTube, and he makes a lot of videos about vaporwave albums, vaporwave artists, subgenres. Very popular, very cool guy. Unfortunately, have not met him yet, but yeah, great guy. He can tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Second one is an artist, Equip. Kevin Hain is his name. He goes by the name Equip, and he makes vaporwave music, but blended with video game music.
Yo, that sounds cool.
Yes. And he went to Japan a couple times on tour with other vaporwave artists. They asked me to join them, but I couldn't. Bad timing. But what I've seen on that Instagram is that he went to these video game stores and he found like the most awesome stuff. And if you ever want to do something with Japanese obscure video games, that's your guy.
Cool.
And also I have to say this: he makes music as if it's soundtrack for a game.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yes.
That sounds so
link
cool.
you this. Yes. And the third person I want to recommend is Pizza Hotline, who goes by in real life name Harvey Jones, and he makes vaporwave / jungle music. Kind of like those 90s, early 2000s aesthetics, like vaporwave, vapor jungle is what you can say. And I know that we talk sometimes, and he says like, yeah, I want the cover to look like some PlayStation game. And he actually has some YouTube mixes online. It's just stuff that like titled like. Low Poly Breaks Disc 2 Video Game Intelligent Drum and Bass Mix for Chill, Study and Focus. Video Game Drum and Bass Ambient Jungle Mix PS1, PS2. And it's like all these like early PS1, PS2 Wipeout music.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. That's hilarious. Oh my god, that's so cool. Well, yeah, I mean, this sounds great. I'm excited to talk to each and every one of them, hopefully. Yeah, let's see what we can do to get them on the show. Do you have any final thoughts?
I must say I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Aww.
And I'm happy that I've been here. It was a nice chat. Yeah, and I hope that everyone who's kind of new to vaporwave and stuff, that you'll be interested in it, and also take the same journey that we have taken in discovering our beautiful world of vaporwave.
Beautifully said. Yeah, I'm gonna be sure to leave links to all your stuff in the description down below, so don't worry about it. Thank you so much for being on the show again. This has been a full circle moment. Like I said at the very beginning, you have been part of the identity and like crucial elements of this show, and 5 years of this show happening, like that's crazy in itself. Like half a decade this show has already been going on, like
yeah,
insane. And I'm so happy that you've been a part of it, and I'm finally getting to talk to you. This has been amazing. So thank you so much, Jornt. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's do another 5 years.
Yeah, man, 5 more years. All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. If you want to hear more from Jornt and listen to more Catsystem Corp, you should follow him on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Spotify, Bandcamp, and wherever else you get your music. Be sure to let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Razzle Dazzle Show, on TikTok at Razzle_Dazzle_Show, on Blue Sky at Razdaz Show Pod, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Raz_Daz_Pod. Be sure to rate us 5 stars and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one.
Next time on The Delta Quest, will our valiant heroes run into beans in this sprawling metropolis? Will Urzak finally get some new gear? And will any of them enroll in the Community College of Neverwinter for the winter semester? Find out next time on The Delta Quest.